Good day, brothers and sisters. I want to share with you a vision I had today on the 9th of September, around between 3 and 4, while I was tidying up at home. I kept having this vision that would pause and continue. A series of visions, actually, but in one sequence. So let me share it, because what I did is I typed it down quickly. And so now I'm going to read from what I typed. It's still rough. I don't want to forget any detail. I had an open vision of a former president in our nation, a forerunner president. I'm going to speak in quotes today, prophesy in quotes, and offer parables. That's the wisdom that the Lord is giving me. So I had a dream of one of our former presidents who is passed right now, a forerunner president, and he was having tea with our current number one. The one who had passed over did not look like how he did when he passed. The one who passed away, rather, in this vision did not look the age that he was when he passed away, but rather looked the same age he was when he got out from incarceration. He looked like he was in his early 30s. Number one, early 70s. The Lord forgive me. Number one looked the same as he does currently. They were both alive in the dream, though the forerunner president looked palish in color, like grayish. He looked like an African man, but he had, his skin had a bit of a grayish tone to it. He looked kind of pale, slightly grayish, slightly pale, to signify that he is already with the world of the dead. He's currently not alive. Both these two statesmen were dressed in gray suits, though number one, his was darker in hue. As I looked at the former president, the forerunner president, I kept seeing him also dressed in a Freemason robe. So I asked God in my spirit, why am I seeing the dead and the living at the same time? The Lord said the two were having tea time and were meeting, but in the realms of the ocean, and that what I was seeing in this open vision was not on earth, but rather that by watching and praying and as a prophet, I had been transported to a world of secret planning, a world of secrets. Although when I looked at the cozy tea time, it looked realistic, like they were in a bistro kind of restaurant, which had lots of flowers painted on the walls. Looked very cozy, very English in aesthetic. The former president, a forerunner president, was holding a beautiful porcelain teacup daintily, holding it like how the English are trained to hold cups in an aristocratic and courteous manner. That's how he was holding this teacup, in a very genteel manner, like the English do, especially those who are in the monarchy. Both gentlemen, though African men, appeared and presented themselves very dignified and with Anglo mannerisms, and they appeared very posh with an air of sophistication. I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, now listen. As before, I could see them talking, as in their lips moving, but I couldn't hear what they were saying, almost like watching a television show on mute. Now, it's like the mute button had been removed, and it suddenly felt like I had a front row seat to listen in to them, to listen into their conversation. But I was invisible to them. The elder statesman who's now passed away suddenly said, but with a coy smile, "Mhlobo, the show is over." And the younger statesman listened intently with respect. The elder continued, "From now on, is every man for himself. Use your position for perdition." He was speaking very calmly, very lovingly, encouragingly to his younger counterpart. Then I was transported to another vision from this one, almost like this Tea Party vision of the two statesmen was put on pause. Suddenly, I just saw white, like I was in the realm of the spirit, not anywhere in particular. Everywhere was white, and I was seeing a rainbow, and it was upside down. Where the crest of the rainbow, was on the ground, standing on the ground, like the bow part of the rainbow. So it was an upside down rainbow. The upside down rainbow in shape looked like a smile. Holy Spirit, help me to deliver this prophecy, this prophetic revelation. The upside down rainbow looked like a smile in shape. I thought to myself as I was seeing this vision. But somehow the smile was eerie. The smile didn't conjure feelings of freedom and peace, but it conjured it felt ominous and dangerous and evil. While I was thinking this about this upside down rainbow, how it made me feel, I heard Elohim say, "Exactly, you caught it." Then he took me back to the former vision with the two statesmen, and the elder said to the younger statesman, "The country is going back to the whites. 2 more officers and then it will be the same story." The younger statesman listened very seriously, but not panicking, just like, oh. But from the eyes, I could see that he was like, What the elder statesman was saying, I understood that the 2 officers were indicating that the government of national unity, the GNU, the next 2 officers from the one we're currently in, it will have the DNA of a GNU. So it will be coalitionary. That's what I understood without the Spirit of the Lord explaining to me. It's like the truth was just in my spirit like that. The younger statesman nodded while sipping his tea, calmingly unfazed, but somber slightly, and listening to the elder with respect. As I stood there listening in to the conversation, I started feeling uneasy and perplexed at it, and my spirit was troubled. Then I noticed an angel standing next to me, looking at me, like holding my arm as if to strengthen me. And he said, "Can I take you to Parliament?" And before I could agree, I realized that I was in Parliament, not as a member of Parliament, but again, as an invisible watcher. In the spirit, I had gone to Parliament, but I was invisible to everyone else. And there was a kind of parliamentary gathering, and people were sitting in clusters. It did not necessarily feel like political parties divided in their sections. It just seemed like clusters that I couldn't understand. How were these clusters formed? Then the one cluster stood up, and the rep from that cluster said, "We are making an official decree, and we are decreeing Cape Town as the Republic of Cape Town." Immediately after that rep said that, another cluster jumped up, and their rep said, "We pronounce ourselves the Republic of Limpopo." And more clusters then rose up in unison and were starting to speak at the same time to declare their own decrees and to declare their own independent republics, and there was commotion. Then my eye suddenly went to the map of Namibia, the map of the world, like, you know how these posters of the map of the world, but my eyes had zoomed into the continent of Africa, then it zoomed in more to South Africa, then it landed on Namibia. And I heard people in Namibia starting to laugh and say, look what's happening to South Africa. It's what they did to us. We are the first South African republic, and they annexed us. They cut us out. So others were laughing and saying, look what's happening to them now. But then I also heard a lot of people in Namibia, they were crying. They were crying and saying, we are broken off from our home. We are disconnected from our home. And they were crying, mourning as if somebody died or people died. And I couldn't understand why that was about, but I knew that it had to do with lineage, legacy, and lineage inheritance. I couldn't quite discern the full meaning of that. And at this point of having these visions, I was starting to feel overwhelmed at everything I had heard. And I realized that I was back at the first vision of the statesman having a tea party or having tea together, a cozy tea time. And the elder statesman said to the younger statesman, it will start with the farms. And I couldn't understand. I felt like I had missed some information. But I understood that he was trying to explain to the younger statesman, or he was telling him secrets of things that are to be and things that are to come. And I was a bit frustrated at this point because I understood that I had missed a chunk of their conversation. But then the angel who was still with me said to me, you see what happened in Zimbabwe when they chased out the white farmers? The opposite will happen here. Then I saw the elder statesman, this former president who's passed away, a forerunner president. I saw him open up a long sheet, like a map kind of, but it wasn't a map. There was a lot of information there. And he continued to explain very detailed, very intricately, almost like a geography lesson in secondary school. And he was explaining to the younger statesman what's going to happen in the future. But at this stage, I couldn't hear anymore. They were back on mute. But again, I heard in my spirit that, the next two government officers will work with a coalition style and approach. While I was musing on these things, I was starting to come back to myself and not, my spiritual eyes were starting to go to sleep. Then I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, show her one last vision. Then my eyes opened bright again. The last vision, which seemed random, but which I knew was significant to everything I had seen, that was really troubling me, troubling my carnal self. This last vision follows. I saw a former minister who was in cabinet with an accessory, okay? Is accessory in terms of something he likes to wear as part of his style. His name I know, but I cannot say who he is. The Lord does not allow. So I was seeing this former minister with an accessory, and I heard a voice say, here's the captain of assassinations. Yes, the captain of assassinations. And I looked again at this former minister, and now he was holding a calabash. I didn't know what was inside it, but he was stirring it with a spoon or a teaspoon. Then, as he was doing so, I heard in my spirit the idiom or the expression, stirring the pot. Although what I was seeing was not a pot, it was a calabash. And I began to feel afraid and asked God to come out of the visions. Then the Lord said, be strong. He took me and hoisted me to soar on the wings of the great eagle Jesus. But I wasn't seeing the eagle. I just saw myself like I'm standing, soaring, up in the heavens. It wasn't the first heaven. I don't know which heavens it was, but it was high up in the heavens. And as I was soaring there, the angels made me look again over South Africa. And I saw many citizens. They're wearing the mask of a lady, a former political party leader, who is a lady. They were wearing her face, like those masks you put on with a string behind your ears. But these masks were the same. It was of her face. Then I heard the Lord say to me, all that you are seeing is the great battle for South Africa's identity. And seeing this former president, a forerunner president, and our current number one, what you're actually seeing is two epochs sitting at one table, coming at loggerheads, but not necessarily to fight. You're seeing two chapters of South Africa's nation identity building. The one is 1994, and the other is 2025. The 1994 represents hope, promise, reconciliation, and unity. The 2025 has manifested in division, disunity, hopelessness, and confusion. And the Spirit of the Lord said to me, all that you've seen, though they seem different, they are connected. And you are seeing the battle for South Africa's identity. This is the message to take. Pray for South Africa's identity. And the Spirit of the Lord will guide and give you utterance. If one feels to pray more than that. But that's a very important prayer point at this hour. Pray for South Africa's identity. I don't know why I wasn't hearing pray for South Africa's unity. Pray. It was more identity, like the identity of the country, of the nation, of the citizens, the citizenry, just South Africa's identity, South Africans' image, I guess. But the word that I heard was a battle for South Africa's identity. The Spirit of the Lord also said that the Rainbow Nation, the forerunner president's vision and dream of a Rainbow Nation, it has turned upside down. Remember, I saw the rainbow upside down. And the Spirit of the Lord said this is due to greed and sorcery of man and failure to adapt. But the fact that 1994 was sitting with 2025 also speaks of being at a place where we are willing to adapt, which is good. So it was also a message to me directly, because politically I was very cynical about the GNU. But it was a way for the Lord to say, it's either that or complete disarray. Willingness to adapt for survival as a means to outwit the enemy's plans for our country. So that's what the GNU was. And this is politics. And someone may say, I'm a believer, I have no time for politics. But the earth is the Lord's and all that is within it, including politics, and everything is connected. And remember, the Lord said we must go out and be light. We must go out to the ends of the world. The Lord wants light to also come upon the political sphere of every nation and country. The Lord wants to be part of every sphere of society. And we start with building the kingdom in the house of the Lord. But in terms of being the witnesses of the Lord and influence and winning souls and really having authority over the earth and plundering, not plundering, but being prosperous and extending the kingdom of God. It can't just remain in the church alone. It can't just remain in the house of the Lord alone. So South Africa's freedoms, what the Lord wants to do for South Africa, it seems like politics plays a big role in that. Yes, the house of the Lord is primary, is most important, but the Lord is also speaking and is concerned about the politics of the country, because it's very critical in restoring the country at large. And so these are the visions I had, the revelations I had. These visions and revelations, I must say, yeah, they're very nerve-wracking to share. But please remember, I'm just speaking from the Spirit of God. I'm just the vessel of the Lord. I'm a witness for the Lord. And don't take who and what I mentioned in the vision to heart. Rather, take the message that the Lord is telling all of us. That's what matters. And may those who have ears hear. This vision I had today on the 9th of September 2025 between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. while I was tidying up at home. I have another vision that I will share separately, and that one had to do with the blood moon, but I will share it separately, perhaps in 2 days or so. The Lord bless you.